No, it's Storm Jonas.
Oh, all right. Storm Jonas.
Right now, the
area.
fine mayor of our great city of Danbury is on the phone, Mayor Mark Boughton. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, what's happening, guys?
Nothing, man.
Thanks for joining us. Do we want to talk a little bit about the storm?
Yes, we want to talk about the talk of the storm, or do we want to talk about the storm?
I want to talk about the storm.
We were talking about it off the air. Now we're talking about it.
Right.
So what preparations is a great city of Danbury making?
The apocalypse is upon us. I will tell you that. This will be worse than The Walking Dead and 28 days later combined. So what I would say is, we do what we always do for a potential storm, and they're not really even sure exactly where this is going to go. The last couple of model runs show it going much farther south and not really being an issue for us. But having said that, we are ready. I will strap myself to the front of the plow and with my hat on, my floppy hat on, and say onward to make sure that we clean up the streets of the city of Danbury.
Can I get you to endorse my Wonder Bread program? I've been saying this for years. What people need to do before a storm is to go out and buy as much Wonder Bread as they possibly can. Duct tape it to their head.
Wonder stock is through the roof today.
Yeah.
No question about it. And milk. Got to have your milk. God forbid you don't have milk.
You duct tape that Wonder Bread right to your head because flying ice debris is the silent killer. Your thoughts?
I agree with you completely, and I'm sure there'll be a huge run on Wonder Bread over the next 48 hours.
Now, let me ask you this question. The whole parking thing, if there's a storm coming, are people that park on the street, they automatically assume that they have to get their cars out of there?
Yeah, I mean, we're under no requirement to notify everybody, although we do everything we can. We call you guys, we send out the robocalls, we put it up on websites and all kinds of stuff. But you have 1 hour after the storm starts. You have an hour after the storm starts to move your car and get it off the street. Otherwise, we will tow. Now, typically what we do is we'll pick 3 or 4 of the worst offending streets and we'll tow every car on the street. And it's not cheap. It's about $500 or $600 to get your car back. So, the men and women driving our plows work really hard, and it's really not fair to them that they can't get in and clean the streets, and the neighbors who live on the street will then call and blast us and say our street hasn't been cleaned. So we do need cooperation, and the people of Danbury are really good about it. But there's always a few offenders, and they'll get ticket and towed. Real quick, on a personal note, how can I get the snowplow from where I live to stop knocking my mailbox over every time he plows? We do that on purpose to drive you crazy, and I'll make sure I let the guys know before they go out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What kind of wackadoo noodlehead phone calls do you guys get prior to a storm? I have to know.
They run the entire spectrum. A lot of them I get, where do I put my car? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Where would we, we do open up the Patriot Garage, and then I get, well, that's too far. I can't do that. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you because we're going to tow it if it's on the street. And, we have people call up and say that, if in the rare times that we've had to close the streets, I've had people call up and say, well, my boss says I have to come in. So I said, okay, so you're going to risk your life and limb to go into your job at Walmart. This is what you're telling me, because I just want to make sure, and even if I assure them that the boss will not fire them, people are just, they're funny. They're really dedicated to the job, but also common sense sometimes goes out the window. Here's
an actual serious question. I'm curious about this. Is there any negative effects to having the kind of winter that we've had this year, where this is really our first significant snowfall? Is there anything negative about that? I mean, you guys aren't getting their overtime. I would imagine that's one thing.
Yeah, well, it's good for the taxpayers, tough on our employees, but our guys are, again, they're really good about this kind of stuff. I would say, the one thing that by this time, usually in a typical winter, our plow drivers are, really well practiced at what they do, and this one's coming on the weekend, so that's good. But if you get them during the middle of the week, it can be a real traffic jam all over the city. But so getting that practice in is helpful. We're also using a new material. We're not putting sand down anymore. We have a straight salt material that we're using that seems to be working pretty well. So I get the calls where people say, the truck hasn't been down my street. I'm like, yes, it has. I'm like, no, it hasn't. Yes, it has. No, it hasn't. And there's no sand. There's no sand. I go, I know, we're not using sand. If you can, what we're telling you, we're not using sand anymore. But that kind of stuff.
Yeah, patience of a saint, ladies and gentlemen. Danbury Mayor Mark Boughton. Thanks, Mark.
All right, peace and love.
All right, see you later.